Hey guys, hey, what's up guys, how are you? It's me, your boy, Hebot, and I'm coming at you with a quick video. It's kind of going to be a response to a young man that's on YouTube that does some really good videos, but also to hit some other points, named Turboverse, right? And he does a lot of stuff based off what he sees on Twitter, people tweeting out. Then he talks about the comments that were said, the tweet that was said, and his opinions of why they said what they said and for what reason, right? Now, the response is because he did a video about smoove, talking about, oh, wow, you know, Microsoft needs to spend their wallet to get a Marvel game the way that Sony is. And so there's a lot of more stuff involved and a lot of more layers involved. It's not that simple, but I'm going to respond to that as well as what smoove said, because it's also that these deals, right, are really not acceptable, and why they're not acceptable, and the reason why they're a bad taste in the mouth to a lot of Xbox fans, for example, right? And why Xbox fans feel that, you know, hey, listen, we should also get, you know, an exclusive, you know, superhero game or classic or a Marvel game or a DC game, whatever the case may be. First and foremost, the tweet that smoove did is really just him speaking out of anger, right? But him not really thinking with his head, because obviously Marvel, right, is a big company, and so is Microsoft. They're both on the same plane. Somebody like Sony doesn't have the same type of money and presence as a company like Microsoft, right? As far as the budget goes, right? Perception-wise, in the video game space, yeah, of course, we know that Sony is to the casual market more than, let's say, Microsoft. But the fact that people actually, like smoove or anyone else, would believe that this is a Microsoft problem or Microsoft is the one not doing something about it is pretty foolish. Because if Marvel approached Microsoft to make a game exclusively with one of their in-house developers now that they have, or that they may want to hire or outsource to, like Sony did with Insomniac the first time with the first Spider-Man, before they bought Insomniac, Microsoft can very well do that, right? And there's no way in hell that if Microsoft was approached by Marvel that they're going to be outbid by Sony. Anyone with common sense will know that. They will not. There's just no way. Sony can't outbid Microsoft. So this right here tells you very clearly, also with the fact that we discovered, right, that something like KOTOR that was originally funded, right, or published back in, you know, the OG era, which was almost 25 years ago, for Xbox, and it's been exclusive all these years to PC and Xbox, right? That is exclusive for the remake that they're making for PlayStation. Something tells you that it don't make no sense. It doesn't smell right, right? Because Microsoft had their hands on that all that time, and it was exclusive to the Microsoft console. But all of a sudden now, the remake is going to be exclusive to PlayStation. What that tells you is that Disney is the one that's approaching Marvel. I mean, Marvel and Disney are the ones approaching Sony to do these exclusive deals, because they know that Marvel, right, has stake with Sony with the property and the rights for something like Spider-Man, because they own the movie rights. Sony does. So in order to continue to bring other deals for the future. They have to continue to make these deals with Sony to continue to do things with Spider-Man. And we all know that Marvel recently, with Disney, acquired the rights to back for X-Men and for things like Fantastic Four, right? Which that tells you that the reason why they're doing a Wolverine game now, and they made this deal, is because more than likely they want to market it. More than likely Spider-Man is probably going to be involved in the movie, and so they need to market it down the road. Now, we saw that Spider-Man 2 was announced and it's not coming out to 2023. So that means Wolverine won't be out until probably 2024, 2025. It's not going to be out anytime sooner than that, because they're not going to take away the light and the shine and the thunder from Spider-Man 2. The same way they already made clear that the people who did the Miles Morales game are the ones that are going to do the new Wolverine game, which has to be a different style because Wolverine is more of a brawler. It has to be like a beat 'em up, like Wolverine Origins, right? So the reason for Marvel to continue to make these deals with Sony is because they have stakes in each other. That's why they don't approach Xbox to make a Marvel game. The only thing that Xbox can really do, it would make more sense, would be approach somebody like WB to see if they'll do something exclusive for their console, because Batman's really big, you know, things like Superman is really big. It hasn't been done properly in so many years, because it's really where they don't have real stakes, but they can do business based off money, and it will work and in favor for the Xbox brand and the fans, right? Now, the biggest problem with these deals is because Sony doesn't own Spider-Man or the IP for Wolverine. And this is why it's a bad taste in the mouth of Xbox fans, because they continue to do these deals and the Xbox fans are getting left on the side because of the fact that they're not putting these games that Sony doesn't own the IP, that should be multi-plat, and they're on Sony's platform or Sony's console and not on the Xbox. And the first thing that people I've been seeing, which one of them was turboverse in his video, is, well, if you own all consoles, it's not a problem. Yeah, technically it isn't a problem, but it is a problem. And here's my response to him. The problem is, a lot of people want to play these games that are exclusive like that on their preferred platform or their console of choice, which is Xbox. Whether it's because of better performance, the better quality in the graphics and presentation, because the console's better and superior than the PS5 as far as the Xbox Series X, right? Even the Series S outperforms it in many ways for other reasons. The ecosystem, because that's where they want to play it with their friends. Whatever the case may be, it's because they want to play these IPs that are not owned by Sony on an Xbox console, because it's their preferred, I repeat, preferred platform and console. They do not want to play on a PlayStation because maybe they don't like PlayStation. And no one should be forced to have to go out to buy another console to play a game, especially if that game and that IP and that property doesn't belong to that company and they don't own it, and yet they still have to be forced to buy another console, spend more money to play that game. Now, if it was a Sony IP that they own, that they created, that they have, that they harvest, then that's a different story. Like God of War. You want to play God of War? It's a Sony property. You got to buy a PlayStation. Plain and simple. But on top of that, to add to that, also turboverse, for example, if you see my video, which I will probably send it to you in your link anyway, is that not everyone can afford to have multiple consoles. And that's the reality of it. They can't afford it. Not everybody can afford to have a PlayStation, a Switch, and an Xbox. Maybe they could afford only a PlayStation. Maybe they could afford only a Switch. Maybe they could afford only an Xbox. Or maybe they could afford an Xbox and a Switch and not a PlayStation. Or vice versa. A PlayStation, a Switch, and not an Xbox. You see what I'm saying? Or maybe a PC. That's all they could afford. Not everyone can afford all consoles. And if they see an IP like a Wolverine or like a Spider-Man that they know that that company does not own, right? Then of course they have a right. Of course they have a right to be upset and being mad and not wanting, right, to buy another console and spend more money just to play that game. You see what I'm saying? So it's not rocket science. And we as people in the community or on YouTube and influencers on YouTube, because that's the term they use, we have to understand that it's not about me and we only, ourselves. It's about everybody, right? It's not just about what you think is right or what you prefer. It's not about being a neutral. It's not about wanting to, being a gamer. And the only thing that makes you a gamer is if you have all consoles. No. Because a lot of people have bad taste in their mouth with Sony. Because they've been anti-consumer and really haven't done nothing for the gaming community and gamers for many, many, many years. Not just, now or not because of anything else. They just don't want to buy a PlayStation console. Just like a lot of PlayStation fans don't want to buy an Xbox console because they think Microsoft is trying to, kill the industry, even though they're not. Even though they're helping it, right? Plus, you have no options on PlayStation. You can't play a game and try it out with something like Game Pass, right? And see how it is. And if you like it, then you buy it with no risk and no efforts of being worried that you're spending your money and wasting it. And that ease of relaxation of not having to worry that you spend your money on something that you may not like. Period. Sony doesn't offer that. If these games came out on Xbox, for example, more than likely we'll have them on Game Pass if there's a deal, especially if it's an exclusive deal. Like Indiana Jones. It's not owned by Microsoft, but Bethesda's doing the game. More than likely we'll play it on Game Pass, and it'll be exclusive to Xbox because Bethesda made the deal, and they own Bethesda. You see what I'm saying? So, we're playing it day and date with no risk, and if we like it, we can play it and own it, whether it's physical or digital. You see? There lies the difference. If Microsoft owns this company and this developer, and they're the ones that are putting out all the money to make these games, to develop them and publish them, then that they have every right to have ownership over that IP. Sony doesn't even put the money up for those games. They're not putting up the money for Marvel Spider-Man or for the Wolverine to develop them. No. They're putting up the money to market them for their console because they pay for the exclusivity. Because Disney approached them. But it's Disney and Marvel games that are developing and funding these projects. They do not pay anything out their pocket to make and create these games or pay the developer. Even Insomniac is getting paid by Disney and Marvel games, right? And obviously Sony pays them a percentage from whatever they sell on their console because it's exclusive to their console. But that's now because they own. That's now because they own. Because they own, Insomniac. You see what I'm saying? So, Excuse me 1 second. So like I was saying, guys, the situation in Insomniac changed, obviously, when Sony bought them, which they just did last generation. Because a lot of you people try to act like Insomniac was owned by Sony all this time, when all they did was they worked with Sony for many years, just like Remedy worked with Microsoft. Difference being is they got bought out and took the offer, right? So, no, it's not because Insomniac has the rights to Spider-Man either, and that's why they keep doing it. No, it clearly was something to do with a multiple game deal with multiple movie deal, right? Obviously, but movies don't take as long to make as games. So again, to turboverse, right? To respond to what you were saying, it's not so much about, oh, the problem is if you own all consoles, it's not a big deal. The bottom line is, not everyone can afford it, right? Not everyone is happy or comfortable buying a PlayStation product because they don't like how anti-consumer they are, and because they don't do nothing for the industry, they don't do nothing for gaming as a whole, and because, you know, they like to, you know, they're just not in a position right now that people want to invest. There's no reason to really own a PlayStation right now. With all the remasters that they're offering, all these games that are really not for everyone, like a Bug Snacks or like something like Sackboy, that are not really to the quality that people want, right? And yet they have to pay $70, right? So this is why. This is the reason why. So people don't want to support Sony. They just don't. Because you could see an Xbox person, right, or a Sony fan, you could understand why they would want to buy an Xbox. Because Microsoft is just giving you a big value for your dollar. And they are not just giving you the same template and the same style of games, single player narrative games. They're giving you a variety of games, whether they're AAA, single A, double A, and all types of genres. In every genre, whether it's a multiplayer, whether it's a co-op campaign, whether it's a single player experience, a RTS, a first-person shooter. They're giving you all types of different genres, right? And different types of, styles of games. And then they're offering all these great multi-plats that are coming out brand new, day and day, on Game Pass as well. So you can understand why a PlayStation fan or a Nintendo fan even would want to buy an Xbox. But a person with an Xbox that really doesn't have a lot of interest on a PlayStation, it's not as easy for them to just go out and buy a PlayStation, because there's no sense of urgency to want to buy one. Because even with the game announcements that you just did, for example, right? Even with the game announcements they just did, right? Those games are still far away. The only thing that's coming out is Horizon next year, and the GT Sports. But if you're a car enthusiast and you have an Xbox, you're not really going to care for GT Sport because you got Forza. Even though they may be two different series, because the level of quality as a racing game is just not the same. Not no more. Hasn't been for many years. They got dethroned by Forza long ago, right? And then Horizon is something that it's not for everyone, right? A lot of people didn't enjoy the first one because it was a very boring game. Looked nice, but it wasn't really original. It was a boring game. So again, right? You got to look at it from that perspective, because God of War, they showed it. It looks more like a DLC, but yet they didn't even show a release date. So that means they're not even sure if it's going to come out next year. So they didn't show a release date just in case it gets delayed, right? So that means it could be a 2023 early game, the way that Horizon Zero Dawn is going to be for PlayStation for next year, for 2023. And if that ends up being the case, then you're not going to get those two big games or bigger games like God of War, right? Which I personally don't like, and I'm a God of War fan, I just don't like it because it was also a very boring game, and they took away the essence and the magic of the original game anyway, right? It's no longer the same. It's very different as far as the structure with the reboot, right? So, even if you wanted God of War and Spider-Man in 2023, you don't have to buy a PlayStation in 2023, which by that time, it'll be much easier to get and even probably cheaper in price. You see? With an Xbox, you got games already that started coming out since August, in the beginning of the year, all the way throughout. So like at least 2023, 2024, as far as we know. Because they got all these games that are announced, all these studios they acquired, because they needed studios, because unlike Sony, they didn't have a lot of studios. So Microsoft had to buy studios so they can build a portfolio internally and have more games. Plus they have Game Pass, and they need to feed Game Pass, and in order to feed it, they need to have more studios to keep making games to feed that environment, right? Or that service, right? Which makes perfect sense. It's like Netflix, the same idea and method as, you know, something like Prime TV. You have to keep making content so that you can keep people coming in, and the people that are already adapted can have new content to watch. It's the same idea behind Game Pass. Difference being you can own the games, you can't own the games that you have in Netflix or Prime. That's the only biggest difference. But the structure of it is exactly the same. You can't just keep it there and leave the same thing and not feed it, not add nothing new, because then nobody's gonna keep on people will not keep on subscribing, and people will not keep on being interested in coming in as new customers. You see what I'm saying? So that's the difference. So it's not about so much, oh, well, you could just own all consoles. No, because not everyone can afford it. Not everybody wants to buy a console that really doesn't offer you anything. At least not right now. Later on, yeah, maybe. But not right now. So you thinking that way, or saying that, not just you in your video, but a lot of other people, is flawed. It's foolish. It's not really realistic. Because maybe you could afford it, or others can, but not everyone can. That's why Game Pass is such a success. Because a lot of people feel more comfortable and don't have to feel like flabbergasted or overwhelmed that, damn, all these games and I can't afford them. You see? That's why it's being so successful. And that's why people are migrating over. Because they feel that they have freedom and have more bang for their buck. That's pretty much the reason why. So that is why it's to your statement, to Kid Smoove's statement, that's why it's bad taste in Xbox fans' mouth that Sony keeps getting all these deals with these Marvel superhero characters, right? And Xbox fans are not. That's why it's a bad taste in their mouth. That's why, it's foolish to think that Microsoft is not getting deals because they're not pulling out the purse, because it's not true. That means they're not getting approached, because they're not going to get outbid by anybody like Sony. It's just not going to happen. Also, the fact that, no, it's not as simple as just own all consoles, because not everybody has the money, and not everybody feels comfortable buying a product from a company that's not offering you enough value for you to want to buy the console. You see what I'm saying? And that's just a fact. That's all those things that come together, that circulate, that answers the bigger questions that you didn't address in your video, and that Kid Smoove didn't think, and a lot of people ain't thinking on social media and in the gaming outlet. So yeah, guys, that's gonna be my thoughts. That's my 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 outlook at what's going on in the whole situation. No, it's not cool that Sony keeps getting all these IPs from Marvel, because they don't own them, first and foremost. Secondly, Xbox guys are also fans of Marvel, fans of DC. They also want to get a nice exclusive like that as well, because, they want to play on their preferred platform. They don't want to feel forced to have to buy a PlayStation. It's a console that they may not like just to play a Marvel game. You know, it's common sense. It's principle. Period. It's principle. So this is why Xbox guys are upset. Why Xbox guys have bad taste in their mouth. Why it's bad for business. Why it shouldn't be happening. But Sony's doing it because that's the only way they can combat and fight back the Game Pass and all these exclusive deals that Microsoft's getting with third-party developers for multi-plats, because they don't have the pockets. So if they get approached by Sony or someone like Disney and they have the advantage in that area, they're going to take advantage of it. I mean, it is what it is. It's just business at the end of the day. They're going to do it. So give me a thumbs up. If you like the video, give me a thumbs down. If you didn't like the video, and yes, I have my nails painted because my daughters paint me because they saw me with the colors on that match my sneakers. So they did a social experiment with me with the drip, as they call it. So anybody that calls me a fag, fuck you. Go suck an ass. I don't give a fuck. Either way, you can't judge me. We live in different times. I don't give a fuck what you think. Anyway, let me know if you liked the video. Give me a thumbs up if you didn't. Let me know in the comments what you think about my thoughts, what you think about it, how you feel, you agree, you disagree. It's always good for conversation. Doesn't matter. As long as you do it respectfully, I'm cool. We don't have to agree all the time. That's life. That's normal. Also, share this video you think might like someone. If you think with someone you think might like it, make sure, please, that you follow me if you want on social media, on Instagram under C_respect. You can follow me on Xbox Live and the Nintendo Switch. You can follow me there under HeBot8. You can follow me there under HeBot8, or you can follow me on PlayStation under Alfell from Sky. Also, I'm on Twitter, but I won't give the information out just yet. It will be very soon. I have a reason why. Just bear with me. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. And if you guys ever want to help me out in any way, shape, or form, you know how you can do it. From the kindness of your heart. And if you want to, it'll help my channel, help me grow, because I don't have the means to. I don't have enough subscribers. I can't monetize anything. I don't make no money. I can't do super chats. You could do it down in the description below with my PayPal information, my Patreon. Or if you want to donate anything that you want me to highlight, showcase, review on my channel, it'll be a pleasure. It'll be my honor. Just DM me on Instagram or hit me up on Xbox Live in one of the chats or Messenger, and we'll work out the particulars. And excuse me, my voice is messed up. And we'll go from there. All right, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by. Love you. I'll see you in the next one. HeBot signing off. Talk to you then. Bye.